going to talk about graphing absolute value functions. We graph lines before, then we'll graph absolute value functions. So review first. Here's an absolute value function with a big wall here. The wall takes the stuff inside of it and makes it positive. So right now we're going to take negative 2 and plug it into this x. So we have 3 and then 2 times negative 2 minus 5 plus 4. If I simplify the stuff inside the wall first, it becomes 3 times negative 4 minus 5 plus 4. Negative 4 minus 5 is negative 9. The absolute value of negative 9. Once I get this down to just one number, I find the absolute value. The absolute value of negative 9 is 9. And I multiply, and I add. This came out to 31. Basically, we plugged in a negative 2 for x, so we got out of 31. That's just how to evaluate absolute value functions. So over here, we're going to make up a new one. Remember f of x, that just means y. So I have like f of x equals negative absolute value of x plus 3 minus 1. And if I wanted to plug something in for x, like say that I wrote down f of negative 4. Well, this means I plug a negative 4 in for this x right here. First I simplify inside the absolute value. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. The absolute value of negative 1, well, it's going to get kind of confusing. Right here I'm looking. The absolute value of negative 1 is 1. I'll write that this way. And then this sign here makes it negative, and negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. All those negative 1s got a bit confusing, so I'll do another example. Let's say we're going to do f of negative 5. Well, negative 5 plus 3, I'm going to have negative absolute value of negative 5 plus 3 minus 1. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2. And negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. This means if we plug in a negative 5 for x, we get out a negative 3 for y. It's really the point negative 5, negative 3. And here, if we plug in a negative 4, we get out a negative 2, so it's the point negative 4, negative 2. But when you graph, you just do that process lots of times. Here I'm going to graph y equals the absolute value of x. I'm just going to plug numbers in for x. And you'll note I plug in numbers from negative 5 to 5. That's 11 numbers total, which feels like a lot. But for now, you really need them all to make sure you get all the possibilities covered. So the first example is really basic. I'm just plugging in negative 5. If I plug in negative 5, that becomes a positive 5. So it's the point negative 5, 5. Also the point negative 4, 4, and negative 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, 0. Now if I plug in a positive 1, the absolute value of positive 1 is still just 1, so I get the point 1, 1. And the point 2, 2. And it's going to go like this. In fact, this graph and all absolute value graphs, these are the ones that we'll do, make this sort of V shape, where at some point there's a corner, and the corner changes the direction of the graph. Every absolute value function will have a corner somewhere. The key is finding where that corner is. So here's another example. This has some more stuff for me to play with, a negative and an x plus 3, but I'm still going to plug in the same numbers, the numbers from negative 5 to 5. Always plug in numbers from negative 5 to 5. I plug in negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2, so it becomes negative 2. I plug in negative 4. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. The absolute value of negative 1 is just 1, so it becomes negative 1. If I plug in a negative 3 plus 3 is 0, the absolute value of that is 0, minus negative that is still 0. If I plug in a negative 2 plus 3 is 1, and this negative makes it negative 1. Here, I've got the same value twice. Once you get the same value twice, that means you found your corner. I know at negative 3, 0 is the corner, and then it's going to go I'm going to head the point -5, -2, -4, -1, 2, -1. The graph's going to go like this. You just keep plugging in points. And this is what I'll get out of all these points. If you want to, you can plug them in yourself and you'll see. So, once I found my corner and got a few points, I can graph my line. Or sorry, not my line, my absolute value v. It always forms that v. And there's two graphs of absolute value functions. So to recap, absolute value functions, you just plug in numbers from -5 to 5. There's lots of points on a grid, and then you connect dots. There will always be a corner somewhere, so make sure you find that corner. There's always going to be a corner. Thank you.